Time certainly has changed. I remember very specifically, it was a Monday night, March 9th. I went home and the market was down 9.99% in one day. It was a new record for me. In my 24 years of experience, never seen the markets do that in one day. I told my kids I was just exhausted that day. Just for the next week, the next Monday, for the market to go down close to 13% in one day. I know we were facing a new normal altogether. And as the news came out and as we realized that we couldn't be with our friends anymore, we had to do social distancing. And man, it was a fight for even toilet paper, right, in the convenience stores. We all know that we are in a new period of time. I remember distinctly a long time ago, probably about 25 years ago, that I felt the same way. It was the time that I transitioned from my birth country, which is this most beautiful city, Cape Town, South Africa, to come to America. Growing up in South Africa, we had money that looked like this. It had pictures of tigers and elephants and buffaloes on it. And my bride and I got on a plane. We came with 2 suitcases and $1,000 in our pocket, and the money looked like this. I know these folks were important. I just didn't know their names yet. That was on these bills. More importantly, we had no idea how far this dollar would go, how much bread or even milk or even gas it would buy until we get paid the next month. That created a lot of uncertainty for us, and insecurity, and fear. You see, today, most people feel the same way. They got the same questions. Is the money that I have in my bank left enough to get me through this period of time? Also, is the money enough for my retirement? And what will be the impact of the coronavirus crisis to our savings? Well, I did something logical for me back then, and that is that I created for myself the first financial plan. It was a basic spending plan. We just started recording against it. We had some goals, and we just started writing down what we were spending. And during this period of time, I could feel the confidence just growing. And it's at this time that I realized how powerful planning is, as basic as a spending plan. And it's what attracted me to the industry of financial planning. Today, I believe that the poorest of all men is not the man without a cent, but is the man without a dream. So what I would like to do over the next 25 minutes is share with you the 3 biggest areas that I believe we can make an impact and bring more security and freedom and confidence in your finances as well. First area I want to talk with you about is the power of planning. Then I want to share with you how can you protect your capital during this period of time, as well as in times like these to come. And then finally, I want to share with you that the man who understands the tax code and understands how they can apply it in their own financial world wins. I want to share with you some great tax strategies that are relevant today that can help you keep more of your hard-earned monies. So the first area of planning. Most advisors would say to you, all you need is this magical annuity, or maybe this investment product, and you're going to be okay. We say product is not the solution. It's really a process, and it starts with planning. And as I think about planning, and as we thought about planning over the years, we developed a planning process that's very unique to our firm. We call it our Life Wealth Dream Builder process. We first start just understanding you, understanding your vision for the future, your vision, your priorities, and your goals. Based upon that foundation, we can then go and build a plan. We evaluate your current reality. What are you doing at the moment? What's working? What can be improved? And then we're able to assess the plan, which is really a gap between where you are and where you want to be. After we can do that, we can really analyze and bring forth to you accurate suggestions or recommendations that will help you maximize your wealth. And after we've put the entire plan in play, we keep on monitoring it. Many clients that we have done worked through this process, today we are monitoring in a big way as changes are about. But ongoing monitoring after a solid plan is what brings success. First area of conversation is really spending plan. I go back to my experience. You know, it's so profound to me, and the reason it is I have a loving mother and father, and by God's grace, they're still together. My dad turned 80 last year. But there was one day in a month, boy, that you did not dare to be in the living room. And it was the time when the credit card statement came in. And what was going on was very heated discussions. And over the years as I grew up, I just knew there was this one day every month. And I was wondering why they could not solve this problem. And what was going on is my father was looking in the rearview mirror, and there was disagreement between him and my mother about how they were allocating their cash flow. Well, I grew up and I started being married and I started understanding what a challenge that is for most people. But you know what? When a couple discovers their vision for the future together, it is not about budgeting anymore. It's about creating a spending plan that gives you freedom and the power to make fantastic decisions, especially during a period of time like this, when you want to figure out how much cash you have and if you have enough cash to be able to sustain you for months to come. Highly encourage you during this periods of times to sit down with your spouse and create a spending plan. Seriously, for some couples, this creates so much tension. For that, we can help. We can help facilitate that for you and put together a spending plan that will make you win. Second area of conversation that we have in our planning process is establishing a dream list. Yes, a dream list. The reason we're establishing dream lists is because this is for most couples where most of the fun lies. You know, having a vision is fantastic. Having a long-term vision really gives you clarity. But a good friend of mine said it this way. He says, nothing intensifies as a shortened time horizon, which means basically it's important for us also to have an idea of what are some of the things we would be looking forward to accomplish in the next 1 to 3 years. And we call that your dream list. For some people today, you can say it's a problems list. Or it's a what am I doing? I have a COVID-19 list. These are fun things. When our clients accomplish these goals, and there would be things that are tangible, like for instance a car, maybe a new kitchen, or a trip or a vacation. When I see our couples accomplishing these goals, they have a wonderful balance between saving for the long-term future and saving for the things that really matters to them. We call these things beacons of progress or celebrations of life. The last area I want to share with you is about having a detailed income plan. Having a detailed income plan. Probably the best way for me to illustrate that is, I remember Renee coming to one of our workshops, about 6 months ago, 9 months ago. We still had them in a restaurant. I know you don't know what that looks like anymore, right? But we had these workshops in restaurants, and she came in 2 days after responding to our invitation, and she sat down with us, and one of her questions was so profound. She said, Hilgard, I got all these accounts established and saved over the years, but from what account are we pulling the money from first? And I said, Renee, fantastic question. And she went on, she says, but what I'm really wondering is this money enough for the rest of our lives? And if I die, will Peter be okay? And if Peter dies, will I be okay? And then she did the ultimate question. She said, if one of us gets hurt or there's healthcare expenses, what will happen? Will we still have enough money? I said, Renee, you've asked all the profound questions, very, very important questions. The answer to those is a very well designed, detailed income plan. What am I referring to? I'm referring to something that looks like this, a detailed income plan. And in a detailed income plan, we figure out together with you where the income is going to come from first, second, third, or fourth. By having a detailed income plan, you can also really zoom in and reduce your income taxes and become very smart with that, and also manage through your risk. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about that later in our webinar. If you feel that your planning is not where it can be, if you're feeling angst or anxiety, or you feel like at least want to know what a spending plan looks like, as well as a dream list, or you don't have this thing called a detailed income plan, then feel free to give us a call. On the bottom of your screen, there is a link which you can click and just set up a phone call with us for 15 minutes. We'd be happy to discuss with you and share with you where you are and see how we can help you move forward. Now, the second area I want to discuss with you is about risk. How can you reduce the risk in this very, very volatile times? It's a great question. Let me ask you a question. Again, probably 3 months ago, you were in one of these, traveling around the world. Next time you get in a plane and you're traveling to your favorite destination and you're about ready to strap in, and the flight attendant comes through, about ready to close the front door, the captain comes on. He says, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're flying today to Hawaii. And I got great news, and I got not so good news. The good news is we got some tailwinds. The bad news is we have about a 65% chance of landing successfully in Hawaii. Wow. As the flight attendant is about ready to close the front door, are you strapping in or are you bailing? Yes, probably bailing, right? Most people don't want to get on a plane that has a 65% chance of landing successfully. You know why I share the story with you? Is most of the times when we meet couples and we take a look at the probability of their money being able to be enough for the rest of their lives, the number I see most of the time is 65%. Well, if 65% is not good enough for your next vacation flight, why would it be good enough for your wealth? So what I'm sharing with you is the importance of knowing, maybe have a number that you can figure out how ready you are for retirement and how much money you have and what is the success ratio of your money lasting you. Well, why is that such a big deal? Why is it that it's only 65%? And folks, it's because of this biggest risk that I'm going to share with you in retirement. Best way for me to describe it again is a story. Steve and Bill are two brothers. They both have $500,000 in an account in an IRA, and they want to pull out $30,000 a year to live on. And they would like for that money to last for the rest of their lives. So Steve retires in 1990. The first year, he pulls out his $30,000. The market goes down. He's a little concerned. His advisor says, you're going to be fine. All you need to do is have a diversified portfolio and just hang in there. Well, as you can see, after 10 years, he has enough money. He had $1.1 million left, and he felt pretty secure. Well, Bill knew that Steve was his older brother, and always Bill felt that he was the smarter one. And so if Steve can do this, well, Bill can do it as well. So Bill retires 10 years later. Same amount of money, pulling out the same level of income. If Steve can do it, I can do it. Well, Bill's results were radically different. After 10 years, he hardly have enough money for income distributions probably for the next 2 or 3 years, and he would be broke. What is the difference? If you note, the sequence of returns that both of them experience are different. Folks, this risk is the biggest risk that we see for people getting into retirement, or even 5 years out from retirement. So what do I do about sequence of returns risk? Do I follow what every other advisor says? All you need is a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds and you're going to be okay. There are 5 different strategies we could use to protect your monies. The first thing we need to know is, what is the probability of success that you have enough money? It'd be very important to use technology to be able to discover that. The second thing I would suggest to you is to have a detailed spend-down plan, like I shared with you in the planning section. The third thing is upgrade your investment portfolio from a passive way of managing wealth to an active way of managing your risk. Be active during a period of time. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Then use the tools that it's available to you. Play with the entire tool chest of ideas and concepts. And finally, don't ignore long-term care. Long-term care planning is very, very important to be able to make sure that your capital sustains you for the rest of your life. Let me share with you a little bit more detail. As we talk about upgrading your investment portfolio, what we're talking about is moving from a strategic, or you could say a passive investment strategy, to a tactical or active money management strategy. This is what it means. Strategic essentially means I'm going to set it, have a diversified portfolio, and I'm going to let it ride. I'm not going to look at it. We're not going to manage it forward. It basically is set and forget. So when you go down by 25% in this period of time, your entire portfolio is down by 25% period of time, and you might be okay. You might be Steve, but you also might be Bill. What we're sharing with you is that life has obstacles. Markets has obstacles. Manage through these obstacles on a proactive basis. Be more active in the way that your money is being managed. Think about tactical management to be part of your portfolio. I don't say that you should have one or the either, or one or the other. A really good combination of the two of them is what sustains wealth and protects against risk. Then finally, a detailed spend-down plan allows us to be able to calculate how much money needs to come out to you when. And by looking at that, you'll be able to figure out, kind of like this, a different approach of how we would place monies. We won't just have all the monies in the same type of account. We would, with the same risk. We will identify what comes first, second, third, and fourth. And the monies that is there to last longer, that's where most of the risk would sit and the most upside potential. It has different pieces. There's no two ways about it. This is complicated. This is complicated stuff, to be frank. And we help you put the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, finally, I would suggest this to you. Next time you go and you maybe have some fun, play some blackjack, and you go to a table in Vegas and the dealer says, I got a deal for you. As I place these cards, I will do this. If you lose, you'll have no loss. But when you win, I get 50% of the gains and you get 50% of the gains. Would that be a deal or a table that you would want to sit at? For most people, getting close to retirement or in retirement, sounds like a really, really good proposition. There are financial tools developed today that helps you to capture the upside and avoid the losses completely. On this chart, you'll see a red line, and in this red line, it describes the markets, the ups and the downs. A green line that describes just having a guaranteed account. Most people think that, hey, I just need to be out of the market in a money market account or to be in a guaranteed account. But there's a third option, and the third option is financial tools that has been developed since 2002 to help people capture the upside and avoid the losses. Just notice in the times when the market goes down that gray line stays flat. There is no losses. So when you can use tools like this in your portfolio, it provides stability and reduces the chance of loss. If you feel that there's too much risk, or you feel that there is no plan or no strategy, that you feel like your accounts are just out in the big old ocean and wherever it goes, your boat goes, and you'd like to have more clarity about this or strategy around how to protect the downside, click on the link below and schedule your 15-minute conversation with us. Be happy to discuss with you how we can help and bring in stabilizers into your portfolio and become strategic and tactical about how we manage forward to the risk. Now, finally, I'd like to share with you my favorite topic, that is about taxes. Now, Mark Twain says it this way: the only difference between the taxman and the taxidermist is the taxidermist leaves the skin. Now, I will say that he who understands the tax code wins. Let me share with you some ideas around this. First concept I want to share with you is the difference between looking in the rear view mirror or looking through the windshield. You see, it's a difference between tax preparing and tax planning. In tax preparing, we typically go see our tax professionals during this period of time when it's time to do our taxes. And we only look at last year. And folks, there's not much you can do about last year's taxes. You just have to pay what you owe. But between now and the end of the year, you can look through the front windshield and you can be strategic about how to reduce your income taxes. You can start thinking forward about your taxes, not just being a victim, but actually being a proactive player to reduce it. Over the years, with the help of CPAs and attorneys, tax attorneys, I put together 34 ideas how you can be proactive about reducing your income taxes. More of the wealth that stays in your pocket, it doesn't go to Uncle Sam, that can continue to grow for you, is what drives the accumulation of your wealth, which drives then ultimately your dreams coming true. So let's be smart about taxes. I want to say something about capital gains taxes. This has to do with when you have to sell real estate or businesses or maybe even a stock portfolio. I want you to understand and hear me right. Capital gains tax and estate tax are voluntary. You do not have to pay it. You can plan around it. And if you have interest in that, or if you have a large transaction like that coming up soon, please remember what I'm saying. Reach out to us and we can share with you some strategies how to either radically reduce it or avoid it. Well, I want to talk about our current tax environment, our income tax environment. What you're seeing on the screen is the history of the income tax rate. Now, it's shocking to believe that the income tax rate in America has been as high as 92%. You know, a fun fact about an actor, a well-known actor that lived in this period of time and was a very successful actor. His name was Ronald Reagan. He made 2 movies a year. And he used to make 2 movies a year, let me put it that way, until the income tax rate went to 92%. You see, the first film he made, he was at the top tax bracket. He decided not to make the second film anymore, but why would he keep 8 cents of everything he makes in the next 6 months? It's because of that experience that he became president and reduced our income tax rates very substantially during his presidency. So you can see different tax rates for different periods of time. What's more shocking to me is that the average rate is 58%. Now let's look where we are today. Highest tax rate today is 37%, and that's only if you make over $660,000 a year. President Trump did reduce the taxes for us. He also increased standard deductions by doubling it. Folks, compared to where we have been, we are in a low income tax rate environment. Why is this important? Well, let me ask you first. As you look into the future, I got 3 questions for you. Do you see our government spending less money? No, right? Before the coronavirus, our government debt was at $23 trillion. We know it's going to increase by at least $2 to $4 trillion. Now, let me just say, $1 trillion is 2 and 12 zeros. It is a lot of money. As our government debt goes up, we have to serve that debt. What will happen to our economy? Is our economy speeding up or slowing down? We're going to have to recover from a slowing economy in a huge way. And then ultimately, what's the impact on future income tax rates when these two things are happening? Folks, we are seeing a very, very large increase in income taxes. Why is that relevant and important today? It's relevant and important today because most folks have qualified accounts, and these qualified accounts have been established through IRAs or 401ks. Most folks have saved to these vehicles because they provided them an income tax deduction when they saved. But it's going to be subject to an income tax when this money comes out. We are in a low income tax rate environment, and what I'm getting to is that there is a really good opportunity right now to reduce the income taxes from disqualified plans of IRA accounts to Roth IRAs. Let me share with you on the screen. If a person age 60 has $250,000 in an IRA, they're going to have to be forced to take money out at age 72. The income taxes that is due on these distributions will be a substantial amount. You can see $100,000 on the screen. When some folks don't need this money, they put it back into another taxable account to continue to grow. It then adds up to $40,000 in additional tax. And when they eventually pass away and the money goes to their family or even to their spouses, they have to pay another income tax amount, a total of $205,000. But if you were to consider converting today from an IRA to a Roth, all at once is what this example shows. It's not what I'm saying. You have to apply some good planning here. But if you were to convert, there's a one-time tax of $62,000 on this conversion. And from this point forward, there is zero tax. So my basic question is, do you want to pay $205,000 in taxes on this IRA? Do you want to pay $62,000 in taxes? It is your choice. Today is an opportunity. Under the current tax code, these rules are in play until 2025. I think it is a very, very good time to look and see how you can become more strategic about your taxes today as well as in the future. Every day in my office, I'm performing adjustments, severe adjustments. I feel like I'm a financial chiropractor. And the adjustments we are performing is this. We're transitioning money from taxable environments to tax-deferred environments to tax-free environments. You know, you're absolutely right. If you just read these words, the most efficient way to grow your wealth in the future is in tax-free environments. But yet, the average amount of money that people have in tax-free environments is about 5%. Now, here's some practical steps that I would suggest to you. First, I would take a look and see what income tax rate environment you are in the moment. What is your bracket? Second thing I would ask yourself is, am I planning to sell any large asset that would be subject to capital gains tax? If so, know that you can avoid that. And then third, I would look at your total wealth and ask yourself how much of that is sitting in tax-free environments. Well, there are many different types of tax-free accounts. Typical examples of this would be Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, municipal bonds, a permanent life insurance policy designed to produce income and provide long-term care protection. So one of the great strategies too that we have is we're helping folks transition from taxable environments to tax-free environments and let Uncle Sam pay for all the premiums necessary for your long-term care protection as well. If you discover during this time together that there's not a very proactive tax strategy in the way that you are managing your money as well as how you're minimizing your taxes so that you can keep more, then please feel free to click on the bottom of our screen again to schedule a 15-minute phone call. Now I will share with you this. These three areas I shared with you specifically are pretty complex. I would agree to that. I would say to you that I think you need to work with an advisor. And as you think about working with an advisor, these are three things that I would have you consider. First question I would ask is your advisor a person that says the solution is a product, or is it more a planning process? Is your advisor a fiduciary, and are they objective? Second question I'd ask is, how many people have your advisor retired? You see, 85% of advisors today don't retire people, they just grow wealth for them. And then finally, is there a planning process involved that you could follow and understand and see how you can be maximized? The biggest question I am asked after a webinar like this is, Hilgard, what about our situation? Can you help us with us? How do we maximize our taxes? How do we minimize our risk? How can you help us? And the question is, yes, every day we sit down with folks and we visit and we have conversations with them about how we can help maximize. If you would like to have a conversation like this, please click on the bottom of your screen. It will lead you to a screen that looks like this, and you can pick a time for us to have a 15-minute conversation that fits your schedule and mine. Now, 15 minutes can change the trajectory of your money for the next 30 years. I will share with you also that most of the folks that we work with today are folks who had current advisors. They were simply reaching out to us to ask for a second opinion. And we think that that's very, very wise. Not all advisors and all financial planning processes are equal. Now, whether you have been retired for many years, or whether you are maybe 5 or 10 years out from retirement, or whether you're still accumulating your wealth, this conversation is for you. I will leave you with this one final thought. At times, especially in the beginning of the year, I came to the conclusion I needed to start exercising again. And so I started exercising by myself because I thought, I can do this myself. I remember getting in spinning classes, and I injured my back. I injured it so bad that I had to get surgery. After my surgery, I wisened up. I approached a personal trainer, but not like any personal trainer, a personal trainer that had a specialty in working with people with injuries. And it made the world of difference for me. Retirement planning or financial planning is kind of like the same thing. We keep pushing it off, and when we finally pick up the files, we think we can do it ourselves. But if you would reach out to somebody, but just not anybody, a person that is a specialist, who have a team that are here to support you, that can help you plan through the uncertainties of life like COVID-19 and whatever else life will throw at us, I believe it will make a world of difference to you as well. Please click on the screen and schedule our 15-minute conversation. I really look forward to speaking with you soon.